Today, we're going to talk about something that many people avoid until it's too late: the early silent signs of colon cancer. I know this topic can sound heavy, but understanding it could truly save your life or the life of someone you love. Colon cancer is one of those conditions that often hides in plain sight. On one hand, it's one of the most preventable types of cancer when detected early. But on the other hand, when discovered late, it becomes one of the most deadly. Over the past few decades, something alarming has been happening. Colon cancer rates are rising, especially among younger adults, people who, just a generation ago, rarely faced this diagnosis. According to the National Cancer Institute, colon cancer has now become the #1 cause of cancer death among people aged 20 to 49. That's shocking when you think about it. And it's why awareness and early detection matter more than ever before. To give you perspective, when colon cancer is caught early, before it spreads, the survival rate is around 91%. But once it moves beyond the colon and spreads to other organs, that number drops to about 13%. The difference between those two numbers isn't just statistics, it's human lives, it's families, it's time. And that's why understanding the early symptoms is so important. So if you find this information helpful, share it, because what you learn today could save someone's life tomorrow. Let's start by understanding what colon cancer actually is. The colon is part of your large intestine, the final section of your digestive system, responsible for absorbing water and forming stool. Colon cancer, sometimes called colorectal cancer, usually starts as a small growth known as a polyp. These polyps are not cancer at first. In fact, many are harmless. But over time, some of them can slowly change and become cancerous. The good news is that when these polyps are found early, they can be removed easily during a routine screening, often in a simple procedure called a colonoscopy. It's one of the few cancers where screening can both detect and prevent the disease at the same time. Now let's talk about the early warning signs that could indicate something is wrong. 1. A change in your bowel habits. One of the earliest signs of colon cancer is a noticeable change in your bowel movements. Maybe you've been regular your entire life, and suddenly you find yourself constipated for days. Or perhaps, you're having loose stools or diarrhea that just won't go away. Occasional constipation or diarrhea is normal. Everyone experiences it now and then. But when these changes last for more than a couple of weeks, that's when you should pay attention. The reason colon cancer causes these changes is simple. As a tumor grows inside the colon, it can start to interfere with the normal flow of waste through your intestines. The colon's job is to absorb water and form solid stool. If that process is disrupted by a growth or blockage, you might experience persistent diarrhea or constipation. When a tumor irritates the lining of the colon, it can speed up how quickly waste moves through your body, causing diarrhea. On the other hand, if the tumor creates a partial blockage, it can slow things down, leading to constipation. And sometimes, people experience both, alternating bouts of diarrhea and constipation, which can be a red flag. If your bowel habits have changed, without a clear reason, and those changes last more than a few weeks, don't ignore it. 2. Unexplained weight loss. Another sign that often goes unnoticed is sudden, unexplained weight loss. Many people welcome a few lost pounds, especially if they haven't been trying. But losing weight without dieting or exercising could be your body's way of signaling that something's wrong. Cancer, including colon cancer, can cause weight loss for several reasons. First, it can physically block the absorption of nutrients from your food. The tumor literally interferes with digestion. Second, cancer cells consume a lot of the body's energy and nutrients to feed their own growth. They release certain substances, called cytokines, that hijack your metabolism, making your body burn calories faster than normal. So if you find yourself losing weight without trying, especially if it happens over a few months and you can't explain why, it's important to get checked. 3. Blood in the eye. Stool. This is one of the classic warning signs of colon cancer. Sometimes the blood is bright red and visible when you look into the toilet or when wiping. Other times, it's hidden. You don't see it at all, but it's still there. It's true that not every case of blood in the stool means cancer. The most common cause is usually hemorrhoids, which are swollen veins around the rectum. Another cause can be diverticulosis, small pouches that form in the intestinal wall and can sometimes bleed. But here's the problem. Many people assume it's just hemorrhoids and never get tested. That assumption can cost precious time. If you ever notice blood, red, dark, or even black, get checked. You can't know for sure what's causing it without proper testing. 4. Dark or black stools. Now, speaking of color changes, dark tar-like stools can also be a sign of bleeding, but from a different part of your digestive system. When blood travels through your intestines, it mixes with digestive enzymes, turning from red to black. While black stools are often linked to issues in the stomach or small intestine, they can sometimes come from bleeding in the colon, especially from the right side of the large intestine. So, if your stool looks unusually dark and sticky, it's a reason to consult your doctor. 5. Iron deficiency anemia. This next sign is one that many people overlook completely. Colon cancer can slowly cause internal bleeding, not enough for you to see, but enough to lower your iron levels over time. Iron is essential for making hemoglobin, the part of your blood that carries oxygen. When your iron stores drop, you may start to feel constantly tired, weak, or short of breath. You might even look pale. Of course, anemia can have many causes, from poor diet to menstrual cycles or kidney problems. But if you're diagnosed with iron deficiency anemia, especially if you're male or postmenopausal, colon cancer must be ruled out. 6. A feeling of incomplete evacuation. Have you ever gone to the bathroom but still felt like you needed to go again? That persistent sensation of fullness or incomplete evacuation can sometimes signal a problem in the lower colon or rectum. When a tumor grows in that area, it can press against the bowel wall, making your body think there's still stool left to pass, even when there isn't. This symptom is called tenesmus, and it's often mistaken for conditions like irritable bowel syndrome. But if it lasts for weeks, especially if accompanied by other symptoms like blood or fatigue, it's important to take it seriously. 7. Bloating and excessive gas. Gas and bloating are common and usually harmless. But persistent bloating that lasts for weeks without any dietary changes can be an early sign of colon cancer. Here's why. A tumor growing inside the colon can partially block the passage of gas and stool, creating a buildup behind the blockage. That trapped gas leads to discomfort, fullness, and pressure. Additionally, cancer can disrupt the balance of good bacteria in your gut, something doctors call the microbiome, which leads to increased fermentation and gas production. So, if you're constantly feeling bloated or gassy without an obvious reason, and especially if it's new for you, it's time to get evaluated. Now, here's something most people don't realize. In many cases, the most common early sign of colon cancer is no symptom at all. That's right. No pain, no visible blood, no change in habits. That's what makes it so dangerous. The cancer can quietly grow for years before making itself known. That's why screening is not optional. It's essential. Detecting it early, even before symptoms appear, can make all the difference. In the United States, doctors recommend that people at average risk begin colon cancer screening at age 45. That's a change from older guidelines, which used to say 50. The shift happened because so many younger adults are now being diagnosed. The most common screening method is the colonoscopy, a simple and safe procedure where a thin, flexible tube with a camera is inserted into the colon to look for any polyps or suspicious tissue. If the doctor finds something, they can remove it immediately, often preventing cancer before it starts. There are also non-invasive stool tests that can be done at home. These tests look for hidden blood or abnormal DNA in your stool that could indicate cancer or precancerous growths. They're convenient and easy, but they're not quite as accurate as colonoscopies. The key message is this: whatever test you choose, just make sure you get screened. Because colon cancer is far easier to treat, and even cure, when found early. And for those wondering, yes, colonoscopies do require some preparation. The day before, you'll need to empty your bowels using a prescribed solution. It's not the most pleasant process, but it's a small inconvenience compared to what could happen if the disease goes unnoticed. The procedure itself usually takes less than an hour, often under mild sedation, so you don't feel discomfort. Afterward, you can go home the same day. Many people hesitate because they're embarrassed or nervous, but the truth is, this test saves lives every single day. If colon cancer is detected early, treatment success rates are incredibly high. But once it spreads to other organs, options become more limited. That's why awareness and prevention matter so much. There's also one more thing to consider: family history. If someone in your family has had colon cancer or advanced polyps, your risk increases. In those cases, screening should start even earlier, sometimes at age 40, or 10 years before the age your relative was diagnosed, whichever comes first. For example, if your parent was diagnosed at 35, you should begin screening at 25. Inflammatory bowel diseases, like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, can also increase your risk. So talk to your doctor about starting screening sooner if you have these conditions. Every person's risk profile is different. That's why having a conversation with your healthcare provider is essential. They can help you choose the right test and schedule based on your age, family background, and health. But beyond screening, there's something else that deserves attention: prevention. Understanding how to reduce your risk in the first place is just as critical as detecting the disease early. When it comes to protecting yourself from colon cancer, prevention truly starts with everyday choices. The food you eat, how much you move, the way you handle stress, all these small things add up over time. While genetics do play a role, most cases of colon cancer are linked to lifestyle factors that we can control. That means the power to lower your risk is, in many ways, in your own hands. Let's start with diet. Because what you eat shapes the health of your colon more than most people realize. Your colon is home to trillions of bacteria that form your gut microbiome. When you nourish those bacteria with fiber, antioxidants, and plant-based foods, they help protect you. But when your diet is full of processed foods, red meat, sugar, and low in fiber, the balance in your gut shifts. Inflammation rises, toxins linger longer, and cells in your colon become more vulnerable to damage. Fiber is one of the most powerful natural defenders against colon cancer. It's found in fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, whole grains, and seeds. Fiber does two incredible things. First, it helps move waste through your intestines more efficiently, so potential toxins don't sit against the colon wall for too long. Second, when fiber ferments in your gut, it creates short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, substances that nourish and protect the cells of your colon. Studies have shown that people who consume a high-fiber diet have significantly lower risks of developing colon cancer compared to those who eat little fiber. So if your meals are mostly refined foods or meats, start by adding just one serving of vegetables or beans a day. Even small, consistent improvements make a difference over time. Next, let's talk about red and processed meats. This includes things like beef, pork, hot dogs, sausages, and bacon. When these meats are cooked at high temperatures or processed with nitrates, they can produce compounds called nitrosamines, which have been linked to colon cancer in multiple studies. You don't have to become vegetarian to protect yourself, but try limiting red meat to just a few times a week and focus more on fish, chicken, or plant-based proteins like beans or tofu. Another factor that often gets overlooked is sugar and refined carbs. Diets high in sugar don't just affect your waistline, they can also create inflammation and feed abnormal cell growth. Cancer cells thrive on glucose, and consistent spikes in blood sugar can create an environment where those cells grow faster. Switching to whole grains, reducing sugary drinks, and balancing your meals with protein and healthy fats can help stabilize your blood sugar and lower risk. Speaking of fats, healthy fats matter too. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fish like salmon, sardines, or even chia seeds, have strong anti-inflammatory properties. Inflammation is a major player in the development of most cancers, including colon cancer. On the other hand, trans fats, found in fried foods, pastries, and many packaged snacks can increase inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. A good rule of thumb is to eat more foods that come from nature and fewer that come from a factory. Now let's talk about physical activity. You don't have to run marathons to protect your colon. Even simple daily movement, walking, stretching, gardening, swimming, helps regulate digestion, balance hormones, and reduce inflammation. Studies show that people who exercise regularly have up to a 30 to 40% lower risk of developing colon cancer. Movement keeps your intestinal muscles active, reduces the time waste spends in your colon, and strengthens your immune system. Aim for at least 30 minutes a day of moderate activity. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. Another crucial factor is weight management. Carrying excess abdominal fat increases your risk because it creates a constant state of low-grade inflammation. Fat cells release inflammatory substances that can damage DNA and promote tumor growth. Maintaining a healthy weight through balanced nutrition and movement isn't about appearance. It's about giving your body the best defense possible against disease. Let's not forget smoking and alcohol. Many people associate smoking only with lung cancer, but tobacco also increases the risk of colon cancer. The harmful chemicals in cigarettes enter your bloodstream and reach your colon, where they can cause mutations in the cells. Quitting smoking, even after years, can dramatically reduce that risk. As for alcohol, moderation is key. Excessive drinking can damage the lining of your colon and affect how your body processes nutrients like folate, which is essential for DNA repair. For men, that means no more than 2 drinks a day. For women, 1 or less. And of course, the less, the better. Another point that often surprises people is sleep and stress. Chronic stress releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can disrupt digestion, weaken your immune system, and raise inflammation. Over time, this imbalance can affect how your body detects and destroys abnormal cells. Try to create habits that calm your mind: prayer, meditation, time outdoors, or even just a few minutes of deep breathing before bed. Your colon, like the rest of your body, needs peace to stay healthy. Sleep also plays a hidden but powerful role. When you sleep, your body repairs tissue, balances hormones, and eliminates toxins. Studies show that people who consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours a night have higher risks of many cancers, including colon cancer. So if you've been sacrificing rest, remember, your body heals when you sleep. Now, one of the most common questions people ask is, if I feel fine, do I really need to get tested? And the answer is yes. Feeling well doesn't mean everything is well inside. Colon cancer can develop silently for years before showing symptoms. That's why screenings, even when you feel healthy, are one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Screenings don't just look for cancer. They look for precancerous growths. In many cases, doctors remove those growths during the same procedure, stopping the disease before it ever starts. That's why colonoscopies are often called both a diagnostic and a preventive tool. If you're 45 or older, or if you have a family history, inflammatory bowel disease, or other risk factors, talk to your doctor about screening now, not someday. And if you've already been screened, remind a friend or family member who hasn't. Awareness spreads life. It's also important to pay attention to your body's small signals. If you notice blood in your stool, chronic fatigue, a persistent change in bowel habits, or abdominal pain that doesn't go away, don't dismiss it. The worst mistake is waiting too long, thinking it will just pass. Early detection is the difference between a simple procedure and a life-threatening battle. But let's end with hope, because there is plenty of it. Colon cancer, despite how serious it sounds, is one of the most preventable and treatable forms of cancer when caught early. The number of survivors grows every year, thanks to awareness, better screening, and advances in treatment. And prevention doesn't require perfection. It's built from small daily acts of care, choosing fiber over fast food, walking instead of sitting, resting instead of stressing. Every meal, every step, every screening matters. You have the power to rewrite your health story, starting today. You don't need to live in fear of colon cancer. You need to live in awareness, because awareness leads to action, and action leads to life. If this message has opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your family, with your friends, with anyone who might need this reminder. Sometimes, one shared video is the reason someone decides to go for a screening, and that screening saves their life. So take care of your body, listen to its signals, and treat every day as a new chance to protect the life that God has given you. Prevention isn't complicated. It's compassion in action.